XRP holders, we have massive updates for XRP and the XRP Ledger. This is going to absolutely change the price of XRP forever. We have the central bank for Singapore coming out and talking about XRP and RLUSD directly, the OCC, the CME Group, Treasury, and there has been a new update to the XRP Ledger. You don't want to miss this because I promise you will have an impact on your investments. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Okay, like I said in the intro, we do have a lot of stories to cover. Before we jump into those, I just want to stop and say thank you to everybody that has subscribed to the channel, the people that comment and like the videos. I love reading the comments down below. I love the engagement, so thank you for everybody that does that. Now let's go ahead and jump into these news stories. We're going to start off with the Central Bank of Singapore. This comes out of Cointelegraph on X on December 8th, 2025. Take a look at your screen. You'll see it says, just in. Singapore's MAS has expanded Ripple's MPI license to allow full cross-border payments and regulated XRP and RLUSD services. I want to step back and appreciate how big this is. We have Singapore's central bank saying they are good to go to use full cross-border payments, regulated XRP RLUSD. That is a signal to the rest of the world that it is here to stay. They are making one of the first moves. As you know, other countries want to be the crypto capital of the world. United States definitely does. And this sets the signal and the race is on. And I think we're going to see a major impact in 2026. This adoption is going to flood in so fast that it's going to be hard to keep up with all the news stories. And I think we're seeing that right now. As I was putting this video together, I had to cut out like 5 other news stories because I just couldn't fit it into one of these videos. So understand that you are sitting in a time where this mass adoption is hitting and it's coming so fast that it's hard to keep up with it all. But let's go ahead and move into the next story, which comes out of Treasury. This is their X account. So this was posted on December 10th, 2025, and it says, most Treasury systems force an artificial choice, legacy rails or unproven digital assets. Leading CFOs are waving goodbye to that binary. Ripple and Treasury combine 40 years of Treasury expertise with proven payments infrastructure, serving hundreds of financial institutions. The result, rail-agnostic platforms that work across SWIFT, ACH, wires, and blockchain networks with zero vendor lock-in. CFOs using this approach enable 24/7 settlement and cut cross-border costs by 60 to 90% while adopting new capabilities on their own timeline. So from Treasury, they are stating they are seeing more of this institutional adoption kicking in. And what I found very fascinating when we talked about this in the past in one of my videos, we're talking about Ripple and how they strategically place themselves as a addition to the system, not a replacement. And it was very smart to do that because they have tapped into that liquidity very seamlessly. And now you have these major institutions and treasuries that are running to Ripple because Ripple can provide a one-stop shop when it comes to financing, right? They are regulated, they are trusted, and they have their connections everywhere. So they can go into a one-stop shop and it's going to be cheaper and 24/7. What institution's not going to like that? And especially when you can tap into their already existing system like SWIFT, ACH, wires. This makes it extremely seamless and easy for them to tap into. So before we go on, I need to let you know I was wrestling with my dog the other day. We both dove for the ball, and his back of his head came up and hit my chin, and I bit my tongue really hard, so my tongue is swollen. So I'm having a hard time pronunciating and reading things, and I have to kind of catch myself. So if you're catching me, catch myself, it's because my tongue's swollen, so sorry. But let's go ahead and move on in to the next story, which comes from Bank XRP. So this is out of Bank XRP on X, and this has to do with the OCC announcing that the national banks can now carry digital assets and digital currencies. But Bank XRP explains how this is beneficial to XRP Ripple. So it's going to be a little bit lengthy, but I will run through it as fast as I can, so bear with me. So let's go ahead and hop on into that. It says, important news and historic decisions by the OCC paving the way for Ripple adoption in the United States banking system. The OCC, the highest federal regulator in the United States banking system under the Department of Treasury, has issued new guidance that allows national banks to use digital assets, digital currencies in their operations. This includes settlement, custodies, payment, and execution for network fees using the digital asset itself. So as you can see just by that description, talking about settlement, custody, payments, and network fees, this is something that Ripple and XRP does very well, right? So it's kind of a hint that we could be seeing a Ripple bank license finally being approved, because now we have the base layer needed to have that approved, okay? Let's keep on going. Let's move on what they have to say, how this is beneficial to Ripple. So as we read down, it says, Ripple has applied for a national bank charter, which is issued only by the OCC. If approved, Ripple will operate under the direct supervision of the OCC, the top banking authority in the United States. The new guidance makes it fully permissible for national banks to use XRP and RLUSD for settlement and payment activities. It creates a path for Ripple Payments, RLUSD, and the XRP Ledger to integrate into the United States official banking infrastructure. So just like we saw with Singapore announcing this was their central bank, so it's a little bit different, but they're announcing that they are good to go to use XRP and RLUSD. We also have the OCC at the same time in the United States saying the same thing. And now we're seeing the UK, EU announcing similar things like this as well. So we're seeing the world slowly saying, hey, we're turning it on if you're paying attention, okay? But let's keep on reading and see what else they had to say and how this is good for XRP. As we move down, it says, what the decision now enables for national banks: use of digital assets such as XRP for payment and settlement, execution of network fees using a digital asset directly, enabling on-chain settlement, institutional-grade custody of digital assets with a clear regulatory framework, direct connectivity between traditional banks and modern finance system built on DLT, including the XRP Ledger. The bottom line, the decision applies only to national banks, yet it represents a fundamental step toward Ripple formal entry into the United States banking system through its expected charter. It establishes the clearest regulatory basis to date for national banks and integrate XRP and RLUSD into the operations. For the first time, XRP and RLUSD now have an explicit permission to be used inside regulated national banks at this level of clarity. So really think about what's going on here. I typically will say when I cover XRP, we dive into the XRP Ledger and we kind of see where the money's at. There's not a lot of money on the XRP Ledger, but as I've said in my videos before, you're not seeing it because it's not being fully used or adopted yet. We're kind of in this weird beta test when it comes to XRP and XRP Ledger and Ripple and RLUSD. People are still kind of weary from it. We need more clarity, but we're starting to see that clarity. And keep in mind, BNY Mellon, one of the biggest custodians of RLUSD, is sitting on it ready to rock. And BNY Mellon in the United States is one of the oldest, biggest banks around. So when they have this clarity like we just saw, get ready for some floodgates to happen. XRP Ledger is about to be activated in a major way, and I don't think the public is ready for it yet. So let's move on to the next one. Speaking about the XRP and XRP Ledger being activated, this is going to come from Pumpus on X, and this was posted on, let me get the date for you, December 9th, 2025. And we're going to talk about the CME Group spot futures and what we're expecting from this, because this again is huge. 21 shares was huge, right? All the other spot ETFs were great, but now we got CME announcing it. So really understand how big of an impact this is going to be. So let's go ahead and go through it. Let's check it out. Check out your screen. We have CME just confirmed it. XRP spot futures are going live. The latest CME market surveillance notice dated November 14th officially lays out the position accountability levels and large trader reporting requirements for XRP spot futures, which begin trading next Monday, December 15th. This is not speculation. This is the largest regulated derivatives exchange in the world, preparing full oversight and reporting mechanics for institutional XRP trading. CME only issues surveillance notices when a product is fully approved, risk modeled, and ready for institutional flow. This means bank can trade it, hedge funds can size into it, market makers can hedge it, ETF issuers can anchor exposure to it. XRP is now entering the same market structure tier as Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is the moment the macro world cannot ignore. Next Monday does not just launch XRP futures, it launches XRP into the center of regulated global derivatives. So I want to take a breath so I can explain this a little bit more clearly and calm down for a second. We're moving into 10 minutes. We have one more story to carry, but let's go ahead and talk about what we just read. So CME launching spot futures on December 15th. This is huge because CME Group, as he stated, is one of the largest derivatives out there. This is going to bring so much exposure that it's going to be unreal. So if you see any kind of dip throughout the weekend in XRP's price, it will probably be Ethereum and Bitcoin and the whole market, of course, but you're going to see some volatility, in my opinion, when we know something like this is coming up. And keep in mind, think about it, banks can trade it, hedge funds can size into it, market makers can hedge it, ETF issuers can anchor exposure to it. This is Wall Street's dream world, right? This is huge for what's coming, and this is just now getting started. We haven't seen BlackRock enter the market yet, but we're building up to that. If you're noticing, we're getting bigger and bigger institutions stepping in, offering spot XRP ETFs. And this is no coincidence. This is just how the game is played. Now let's move into how all this is going to be possible. And again, this is no coincidence when we look at the timing of all these news stories we just went through, that we are now seeing an upgrade to the XRP Ledger that is going to handle this much movement on the chain coming into the ledger. And keep in mind, yesterday we just released a video about Solana and XRP working together. And again, this timing is too coincidental when you're looking at all the news stories that are coming in. So let's check it out from Pumpus again on X on December 10th, 2025. He posted this. It says, do not miss this. XRP Ledger v3.0.0, what actually changed and why it matters. Ripple v3 just shipped and it's much bigger than some bug fixes. It quietly hardens AMMs, MPTs, price oracles, and token escrow in one sweep. So he's going to go break down the list of that, but I'm not going to do that to you because we're 12 minutes in now. So I want to read to you just to kind of recap the highlights from it. His post will be in my description down below. So if you want to read in further detail, which I highly suggest you do because it's great information in there, it's going to really put it all together once you read that. But let's go ahead and read what recap, kind of a highlight of what his post was so you have an idea of what to go read. Okay, so I just kind of pulled from his and I'm going to read it out loud to you here. We have number one, AMM callback rounding. You can have a compliant callback tokens and AMMs without breaking pool math. Keylet fields. Pure institutional quality changes some behavior. Cleaner state, easier to prove what happened. MPT, which is multi-purpose token, delivered amount. MPTs are the instrument layer. This amendment is the truth layer that tells you exactly what moved. Price oracle order. Price oracles are becoming a core primitive for lending and RWA protocols on XRPL. Price oracles order addresses, ordering, and consistency issues around how Oracle-related ledger entries are processed, so transactions that depend on Oracle data see the correct deterministic price and ledger state. Number 5, token escrow v1. Token escrow stops being experimental and becomes something you can safely build on. So this is a major unlock when we put all these news stories together. And like I said, there's so much more news stories I could have thrown in here, but 13 minutes in, this would be a 30-minute video easily if I were to share those stories. So I hope you understand what you hold, where we're at in the market, and what's to come. Because when you understand all three of those, when you see this price dip, not financial advice, but when you see these price dips, you always will DCA in because you have that much conviction in this product or project because you have done your research. And I hope that's what you're doing. I'm hoping that you're taking it that seriously because you should be taking it that seriously. It's your future, it's your money. Why would you not? All right, so that's all I have for you on this video. But as always, hit that like button, leave a comment, share it with a friend, subscribe if you found this channel fascinating, if you learned something from it. It'd be very much appreciated. But before I let you go, though, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and become the change you want to see. I'll see you on the next one.